Okay, let's get started. Today, we initiate a mission-critical deep dive. Our focus: the Department of Defense's 2024 Commercial Space Integration Strategy. And look, this isn't just some theoretical exercise. We're talking about a strategic imperative. It has profound implications for national security, for the future of warfare, really.
Absolutely. And what's really critical to grasp right off the bat is that this is the first strategy of its kind the department has ever published.
The first ever.
Exactly. That alone tells you how significant this is. Think about it. The joint force, all branches working together, they rely on space-based services every single day,
Constantly.
day in, day out, for their missions. And with new threats cropping up, evolving threats, there's this, undeniable imperative to leverage every tool available.
Especially the commercial side, right? Which is exploding.
Precisely. The commercial sector is booming. So this strategy is really about enhancing space mission assurance across the entire spectrum of conflict.
From peacetime operations all the way to...
All the way to high-intensity combat. Yeah. Making sure those capabilities are there when needed most.
First such strategy that really drives home the sheer scale of this change. So, for you listening, what does this actually mean on the ground? Or, in orbit? What about operational readiness, technological superiority? What does it mean for global power projection, the very fabric of it? We're going to break it down. No nonsense. So let's cut right to the chase. The overarching strategic objectives. This isn't just an update, is it?
No. It's far more than that. It's a fundamental conceptual shift.
A pivot.
A real pivot. The strategy explicitly says we're moving beyond just, augmenting existing government systems.
Which was the old way.
Right. Now, the demand is to integrate commercial solutions, make them integral components of the national security space architecture. That's a doctrinal change.
Okay, so what's the core vision driving that?
Well, the core vision is twofold, really. First, supporting integrated deterrence.
Using all the tools, not just military.
Exactly. Diplomatic, economic, informational, military, the whole package to prevent conflict. And second, contributing to a space domain that is safe, secure, stable, and sustainable for everyone.
And the why behind this pivot?
The rationale is pretty clear. The commercial space sector, it offers things the government system sometimes struggles with on its own. We're talking innovative capabilities, scalable production lines,
faster turnarounds,
and rapid technology refresh rates. Absolutely crucial. These factors are seen as critical for enhancing the resilience of our space setups and ultimately strengthening deterrence.
And the primary driver?
Unquestionably, it's about denying adversaries the benefits of attacking our national security space systems.
Making it harder for them.
Much harder. It's not just about having more satellites. It's about fundamentally changing the risk calculation for potential enemies.
How so?
By distributing capabilities across a resilient commercial network alongside government assets. The DoD is aiming to make it exponentially harder for any single attack, or even a series of attacks, to cripple U.S. space operations.
So moving from just hardening targets to
distributed resilience. That's the strategic shift in a nutshell.
Okay. To make that happen, the department's laid out 4 top-level priorities. Very direct.
Yes, they are.
First, ensure access to commercial space solutions across the spectrum of conflict.
Critical.
Second, achieve integration prior to crisis. Don't wait until things heat up.
Proactive, not reactive.
Third, establish the security conditions needed to promote that integration.
Can't integrate if it's not secure.
And fourth, support the development of new commercial space solutions. Keep the pipeline flowing.
Exactly. And underpinning those priorities are 4 foundational principles. These guide the decision-making.
Let's hear them.
First is balance. Essentially, avoid putting all your eggs in one basket. No over-reliance on a single provider. Find the right mix of government and commercial for each mission.
Makes sense.
Second, interoperability. Making sure military and commercial systems can talk to each other effectively, strengthening ties, but without stifling that commercial innovation and speed we talked about.
So adopting commercial standards sometimes.
Where feasible, yes, especially for future systems. Third, resilience. This is huge. More providers, diverse supply chains, a wider variety of solutions, and crucially, the commercial solutions themselves must be resilient.
Especially against cyber threats, I imagine.
Absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
And finally, responsible conduct. Adhering to international norms, the department's own tenets of responsible behavior in space, and engaging ethically with the commercial sector.
Okay, so we have the strategic vision, the principles, the priorities, but the million-dollar question, as always, is execution. How does this doctrine translate into action? Up there, in orbit. The document specifies commercial integration means folding these solutions into actual U.S. defense planning operations, missions, architectures.
Right. And the operational approaches are spelled out. Let's take access. This is about the formal mechanisms, contracts, agreements.
The paperwork, but essential paperwork.
Essential. Addressing cybersecurity, data security, supply chain risks. And crucially, these agreements need to allow the DoD to prioritize its requirements over other commercial clients if necessary.
So guaranteed availability in a crisis.
In extremis, exactly. That guaranteed access is non-negotiable. Then there's pre-crisis integration.
The point about not waiting.
Right. Integrate during peacetime. This means folding commercial solutions into war games, tabletop exercises, training routines.
So operators get used to using them before they're needed for real?
Precisely. It's also about building robust relationships, sharing information back and forth, so everyone understands the capabilities and vulnerabilities before a crisis hits.
And the third operational leg.
Security conditions. Promoting a safe and secure space domain to operate in. This involves using tools to deter aggression, defeat threats if necessary.
And this is where that point about defending commercial assets comes in.
Yes, the strategy explicitly mentions the potential for U.S. military force to protect and defend commercial assets in appropriate circumstances. That's a significant statement.
How do they plan to achieve that security?
Through 3 lines of effort. First, promoting norms and standards internationally building consensus. Second, boosting threat information sharing. That means better space domain awareness, knowing what's up there, and cybersecurity info sharing, trying to cut through overclassification barriers where possible.
And the third line of effort.
Financial protection mechanisms. This is a really interesting and, frankly, challenging area.
Let's drill into that, because commercial companies take on massive risk supporting military ops, right?
Huge risk. So the document looks at options. There's standard commercial insurance, but that usually excludes war risk.
Naturally.
Then you have commercial war risk insurance. It exists, but it's often limited in scope or very expensive. Then there's U.S. government-provided insurance.
Like they have for planes and ships, CRAF and Visa.
Exactly like CRAF and Visa, but here's the kicker. While the laws exist for air and maritime,
Not for space.
not currently available for space, it would require new statutory authority from Congress. That's a major gap right now.
A critical gap. What's the last mechanism?
Indemnification. Under a specific public law, 85804, originally meant for things like nuclear risks or activities deemed unusually hazardous.
Which tells you how tricky this space insurance piece is.
It really does. And you called it a critical gap. I'd say it's more like a potential Achilles heel for integration. If commercial partners face unacceptable financial ruin if their assets are attacked while supporting DoD.
They might just say no thanks when you need them most.
Precisely. It could deter the very partners this strategy depends on. That needs resolution.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. Beyond the how, let's talk about the what. What kinds of technology are we looking at integrating? The commercial sector is innovating like crazy.
It is, and the department wants to harness that. The approach is multifaceted, using financial tools, contracts, policy levers to rapidly field and scale commercial tech.
So helping them get faster.
Yes, attracting private investment, helping clear regulatory hurdles when national security is involved, getting solutions to the warfighter quickly, and, importantly, the strategy commits to protecting the intellectual property of these commercial partners.
Okay, so which specific mission areas are we talking about? The document lists 13 national security space mission areas for the Joint Force.
That's right. It's a comprehensive list.
Let's run through them quickly. Combat power projection, command and control C2, cyberspace ops, electromagnetic warfare EW, environmental monitoring EM,
Keep going.
intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance ISR, missile warning MW, nuclear detonation detection NUDET, positioning, navigation, timing PNT, think GPS,
The classic.
space access mobility, logistics SAMU, satellite communications SECOM, space domain awareness SDA, and finally, spacecraft operations. Quite a list.
It covers the gamut of what the military relies on space for.
Yeah.
And the strategy then breaks these 13 areas down into 3 integration categories.
Based on commercial maturity.
Exactly. Based on how mature commercial capabilities are right now and how much government involvement is still needed. And it's stressed that these categories aren't fixed. Mission areas can shift over time.
Okay, category 1.
Government primary mission areas. Here, the government still needs to perform most functions. Why? Because there's significant tech or functional differences compared to what's available commercially.
Example.
Combat power projection, C2, EW, New debt detection, missile warning, and PNT currently fall here. Core sovereign functions, really.
Got it. Category 2.
Hybrid mission areas. This is where you see a mix, a blend of government and commercial solutions working together. The commercial sector is well suited for some functions within these areas.
Which ones are those?
Cyberspace ops, SATCOM, spacecraft operations, ISR, space domain awareness, and environmental monitoring. A lot of key enabling capabilities.
And the final category.
Commercial primary mission areas. Here, the thinking is the commercial sector could perform the majority of functions. They've shown the tech maturity and can meet DoD requirements.
And which area is that currently?
Right now, only space access, mobility, and logistics SAML is in this category. But the strategy specifically points to emerging areas, things like ISAM.
In space servicing, assembly, manufacturing.
Exactly. Those are seen as big future opportunities for commercial leadership.
It's widened the aperture now. Geopolitics. How does a strategy like this reshape global power dynamics? Alliances.
Well, integrating commercial space solutions directly feeds into strengthening that integrated deterrence concept we talked about. It helps maintain a U.S. technological edge.
So it sends a message.
It definitely sends a message. It impacts how allies and adversaries perceive U.S. space capabilities. And that influences behavior. The strategy also emphasizes internationally agreed-upon norms and standards.
Why is that important geopolitically?
It's about fostering a safer operating environment, reducing the risk of miscalculation or accidents escalating. Building consensus helps manage competition.
And alliances.
Crucially, the strategy commits to working with the intelligence community, allies, and partners to integrate commercial solutions into shared architectures.
So allies could potentially plug into these commercial solutions too.
That's the idea. Instead of every ally needing to build their own expensive government systems for everything, they might leverage integrated commercial options, strengthening their own security and presenting a more unified deterrent front, especially against, say, China or Russia.
Now, this idea of the military leaning on the commercial sector isn't entirely new, right? Are there historical comparisons we can look at?
Absolutely. There are clear precedents in other domains. Think about the Civil Reserve Air Fleet, CRAF.
For airlift capacity.
Exactly. DoD contracts with commercial airlines to use their aircraft during emergencies. And for the maritime domain, there's the Voluntary Intermodal Sealift Agreement, VISA.
Using commercial shipping.
Right. These are established contractual mechanisms that have worked for decades to ensure logistics support from commercial operators during crises. They serve as proven models.
So the aim is to build something similarly robust for space.
That seems to be the goal. Develop similar mechanisms.
Yeah.
And as we touched on with indemnification, the Department of the Air Force has historical precedent using that tool for uniquely risky activities like space launch and nuclear work.
Yeah.
So there's some institutional experience, just not domain-wide for space yet. So if we boil it all down, the critical takeaway from this deep dive is pretty straightforward.
Go ahead.
This strategy is fundamentally about enhancing U.S. resilience. It's about strengthening deterrence for the 21st century. Now, the way to do that is by fully seizing the opportunities presented by commercial entities in space. It's a pragmatic move. A necessary response, really, to how rapidly the space domain is evolving. The battlespace isn't just on Earth anymore.
It's a pragmatic response, yes, but it raises profound questions. Here's something for you to consider. As these commercial assets become more and more deeply woven into national security architectures, does the very definition of a military target start to expand? And if it does, what are the implications? The really profound implications for international law, for the rules of engagement, for the future of conflict in the space domain. This deep dive, we hope, gives you the bedrock to start thinking through that evolving reality.